Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Please, can you confirm if you can hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Good morning, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, that's fine. So we are excited to have you all. Confirm also if my screen is up.
Yeah, it's up, but it's not on presentation mode.
Okay. I guess it's better now, right? Hello, can you confirm? Is it up now?
Yes, it's up.
Okay. So good morning and welcome back again. This is my name is Samson, and from Nigeria, this is after 10. So we are going to run through this webinar on effective problem solving and decision making. We are going to follow the following presentation outline. And at this point, I would like to encourage us all to stay muted so that we won't have background noises. And if we want to say anything, we can also always indicate by a raise of the hand, or we send message in the chat box. So our presentation is going to follow this outline. First, we are going to give an introduction. Then we'll make a present the workshop of the day, the learning objectives for this particular one. We will now look at the topics covered within this workshop, and then we'll have the main presentation. After the main presentation, we have a special offer that we are going to make, and then we will announce upcoming free webinars, as we always do, and then we will close. We are hoping that this seminar is going to take between 90 minutes and 120 minutes. So we'll see how we'll be able to cover the whole lot of content that we have. As a word of introduction and background, Havron e-learning hub has the mandate to bridge the skills gaps in Africa through online learning programs and career pathways. So that's just like our mission. And we run with this mission in two ways. Number one, we develop in-house capacity building programs and deliver them online. Some of these the programs are series of soft skills and computer-based applications. The second way that we do this, along with our mission, is to partner with reputable institutions of higher learning. Currently, we partner with University of Washington, James Lynn Institute, Rochefort Business School in Switzerland, UNICAF, and so many others. And what we do with them is to make the professional development courses that these institutions offer more accessible to members of Havron Network. Today, we are going to be looking at effective problem solving and decision making. As we all know, every day we continuously make decisions and we solve problems. Even right before we get out of bed, we make decisions. For instance, you can ask yourself, should I even get up now or I should sleep more? Those are decisions that you make. And sometimes we make as many as 50 decisions by the time we are ready to leave for work. Now, despite all the natural decisions that we make and the problems that we solve, there are still some good number of people who find it very uncomfortable with making decisions. So what this workshop is all about is to create a walkthrough process that takes away that anxiety of problem solving and then make decision making easier. Now, by default, this training workshop is designed to last for 2 days and for face-to-face duration. 2 days and each day about 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours. Okay, that's to tell you how voluminous the content is. And there is no part of the content that is redundant or you can easily cast away. But what we have tried to do is to see how we can get some very key salient points that will give an idea, an insight into what this the course holds and the potentials that we can gain. So as a learning, our learning objectives, we have the following as our learning objectives. One, we want to learn how to apply problem-solving steps and tools. We also want to know how to analyze information in order to clearly describe problems. We will learn how to identify appropriate solutions. We will learn the ways to think creatively and be a contributing member of a problem-solving team, because most of us in our workplace, we work in teams. We will also learn how to select the best approach for making decisions. There are times decisions are not easily made, but by creating a process, we'll be able to identify the best approach to making decisions. And we're also going to learn how to create a plan for implementing, evaluating, and following up on decisions that we have made. There are some common decision-making mistakes. So this workshop is also going to show us the ways to avoid these common mistakes. And in the course, we have the following topics covered. One of them is problem-solving definitions. We are going to meet with some definitions on problem solving. We're also going to look at making decisions, problem-solving model and toolkit, getting into it, then our SWOT analysis, what it is and how it is conducted, making good, then planning and organizing. And at this point, we would like to begin the main presentation. And before we do that, we are going to share a very brief and easygoing pre-workshop assessment. It's a kind of quiz, it's a kind of pre-test, so that it will give us an idea of where we are heading to. Mr. Roy, yes, please, can you share the link to that pre-workshop assessment? We will just take 5 minutes to answer them. You will submit, and then you can also view your responses and your score immediately before we continue. So let's take 5 minutes to do that. The link is there. Mr. Roy, I think let's, so that whoever that sees it will know that it is assessment link. Okay, so I've just reshared it, but with a header now, problem solving, preload the link and do the assessment. And then once you have done and submitted, please type in the chat box, submitted, so that we'll know our progress, and then we'll know when to begin. So please go ahead and try them. Asanga, I think some people have submitted. It might be from your end. So we have received 2 submissions. Those 2 submissions, please, can you type in the chat box that you have submitted? Great. Jason, you have submitted. Thank you. Great. Lucia, you have submitted. Okay. Mr. Roy, please, can you share the latest one, the one that has the header? Someone needs the link.
Okay, sorry.
The one with the header, so that whoever is clicking knows what he or she is clicking. So after submission, you can view your score.
Rashid.
Thank you. So are we still having problem? Anyone having problem accessing the link? We need more submissions. We need more done. Our training workshops, both physical and virtual, involves engaging participants, not just making presentation, but we would like to engage participants. Okay, we have another submission. That's great. View your scores. And also, the results should be sent back to you. That's why we requested for email. We're not going to share each person's score. So, but you have access to the results. It should be emailed back to you if the email you submitted is correct. Thank you, Emmanuel. You've submitted. Great. Okay, so we have received some. So once we start the main presentation, we may not share the link again because it's supposed to give us a heads up to what we are going to get. So we still have a good number of people on the call who have not responded. Okay, I'm going to mute everyone and nobody will have opportunity to. Sorry for that. Okay, yeah, thank you, Faith, for submitting. Moa, good morning, you're welcome. We've done a presentation, the first introduction, a kind of a preface. So what we are doing now is a pre-course assessment. Kindly follow the link. If you are just joining now, follow the link and submit your assessment. It's a pre-workshop assessment. We have shared the link. Please go ahead and take that. All right, so that's good. We are receiving more and more responses. Okay, so I think we'll just go ahead to start now. Mr. Roy, please, you can go ahead and begin your presentation. Hello, Mr. Roy.
I'm not able to. It seems like I'm not able to unmute from here.
You're not able to do what?
I'm trying to unmute.
No, you're muted now. We can hear you.
I want to use. Please check the muting button. It's like you muted everyone.
Yes, because of the noise. Okay, let me see. Okay, I've seen the one you're using. So you can unmute now.
All right. Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay. My name is Mr. Roy. I'll be the one presenting today's workshop once again. So having previously did a goal setting with you all. So now we are going to set in for the business of the day because we don't have much time. So we're trying to see how we can cover up a whole lot of 2 days workshop in just 120 minutes. So sir, can you help me share screen?
Okay, no problem.
Okay. So in starting this course, first of all, we have seen the learning objectives. We have seen the course overview. So it is important for us to look at the definitions, before learning how to solve problems and make decisions. It is that's very much important to have a definition of what problem is. So please go to the slide, that number 6 slide. Okay. So now, what specifically is a problem? Next slide. A problem can be a mystery to some people. It can be a puzzle. It can be an unsettled matter, a situation that requires solutions, or even an issue involving certainty that needs to be dealt with. So, most times on daily basis, we have one problem or the other to solve. So one scholar, Albert Einstein, next slide please, is quoted as saying that if he had an hour to save the world, he would spend 55 minutes defining the problem and only 5 minutes finding the solution. So why some people have argued with Einstein's numbers, the point is that a problem needs to be properly defined before you can come up with a solution that is worth implementing and deals with the problem adequately. So here we can classify problems into 3 ways. Next slide, please. Problems that have already happened. You can classify them as problems that lies ahead. You can equally classify it as problems you want to prevent from happening. Then there are 3 ways to approach these problems, some of these problems. 1, you can store or delay until a decision is no longer necessary or until a problem has become even greater. You can make a snap decision off the top of your head with little to no thinking or logic. You can as well use a professional approach and solve problems based on sound decision-making practices. So now let's go to problem identification. First, I want you to think of someone you know in your environment, in your workplace, that is a great problem solver. Describe the traits of his character and behaviors that make you think that he's a good problem solver. So now, the problem identification. So although we make decisions all the time, some decisions can come easier than others. So the first step is to define the problem clearly. We have 8 suggestions to help you to identify this as easy as possible. So now, you cannot work on something if you do not know what it is. Resist the tendency to start working on problem as soon as you know it exists. Instead, develop an understanding of problem. So we should go after the problem rather than attack symptoms. So this way, you can create higher quality solutions. So this will also enable you to resolve the problem much more easily. So we also know that you are taking a worthwhile problem. So there are 8 essentials to defining a problem. 1, rephrase the problem. Secondly, expose and challenge assumptions. Use facts, grow your thinking, shrink your environment temporarily. So for this, since each problem is likely made up of a smaller problems, so one way to figure out the issue is to split it into smaller pieces. I'm talking of shrinking your environment temporarily. So this allows you to consider specific details. This will help you gain an understanding of the bigger problem, as well as the effect that the smaller problems have on one another. So shrinking your environment is very effective when you have a problem that is overwhelming. So it allows you to focus on something tangible. You can again use maybe you can use a word play for a great benefit. So another one is practice multiple perspectives. So the problem may be very clear from where you are looking right now. That may not be the case from everyone else. So if your perspective is different from another person, so you need to see how you can combine the two. So turn it upside down. When we say turn it upside down, let's take it that, for instance, you have a firm or an industry where you make sex. So at a point, you notice that the sex are going down. So people are no longer patronizing it. So now, what you think of, okay, sending someone to maybe one of your team to go and learn some skills, some marketing skills. Then you look at the cost effective, see, you be like, Kai, this thing is costly. I want you to turn this around and ask yourself, what if after this skill acquisition, would there be a turn up? So you turn it upside down. Then also frame the problem purposefully and positively. So this workshop, you actually has what we call my individual learning plan. So which has a study case, a case study for each of these sections. So, but because of our time, we are not going to look at it. So if you have an opportunity to get the full package, you have these assessments or assignments to do on your own. So now let's go into making decisions. Making decisions will lead us to action. And this is a good thing. So there is not much benefit to defining a problem unless something is done about it. So luckily, there are plenty of tools to help you make the best decision in a particular situation. So now we look at ground rules. This ground rules is mainly used when you have a group of people or a team to make a decision together. So one, you need to encourage everyone to participate. Encouraging ideas without criticism. So since new concepts come from outside our normal perception, so without considering new decisions, the situation or circumstances remains the same. So build on each other's idea. Whenever possible, use data to facilitate problem solving. Remember that solving problems and making decisions is a creative process. So this means that new ideas and new understanding often result from the process. So in order to reach decisions, the group should agree to the following standards. Make decisions based on best data available. Research and locate required information or data. So discuss criteria for making a decision, which includes the cost, time, impact, and so before choosing an option. So we have types of decisions. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we have the autocratic decision. So this one is the one you make alone. You do not consult anyone and you accept full responsibility for what the consequences of your decision is. So the second one is a consultative decision. So when you talk over the problem with another person or person, so such a more experienced period. So you look at someone who is more superior than you or more experienced than you. So this one is under the consultative decisions. So two good heads is always better than one. So the third one is group decision. So when a problem involves the entire staff or a team, they should participate in the decision. So being involved also gives them some ownership, which will make them more committed and motivated to the decision and the results that comes with it. So then there is an advice from one expert. So, inevitably, we make some decisions that are less than ideal, especially when we look back for something we have done in the past. So this is why we have to commit to using the data that is available rather than relying strictly on intuition or making a guess. So if you make a decision that haunts you, this advice from Claude George has been around since the 1970s, so it's still valid today. So when you find yourself in this situation, do not ignore it or cover it up because this will not go away. Accept that it is probably not the first or the last poor decision you will make. So the goal here is for the larger percentage of your decision to be a good one. So if so, then your overall average will be acceptable. So learn from your mistakes. Ask yourself where you went wrong. Get advice from those around you concerning what you should have considered that you did not do. So what you should have done that you did not, and what errors of judgment you made, and so on. So after this analysis, decide what you should do now. What action should you take? Then tell your boss, tell yourself on the action plan you have created for yourself. So now we are going to look at facts and information. So is a slide up? Okay, yes. Okay, facts and information. So decisions combine facts and theory. So there are choices we make after considering how we interpret the event. So we observe. So we can consider facts as basic ingredients and information as supplementary to the facts. So the basic ingredients here, it facts, knowledge, experience, analysis, judgment. So the supplement which serves as information here, information, advice, experimentation, and intuition. So when we make decisions, we want facts that are indisputable and irrefutable. But facts can change. Note this. With progress, today's facts may be out of date tomorrow. Some examples include the tallest building, largest cities, and the Guinness Book of Records. So in the absence of facts, we must fall back to available information, so which is under this supplement, so which we have to be filtered since it can also be less with opinion. So now, next, we have 8 ingredients for good decision making. 1, focus on most important things. Of all the things you are judging, give greater weight to the most important factor. So do not decide until you are ready. Do not act on impulse or succumb to decision panic. Look for the positive results that can come from this decision. Make your decision as if you were afraid of missing a wonderful opportunity. Consider the negative outcomes. If things go wrong, as they sometimes will, what is the worst that can happen? Ask yourself this. So how can you mitigate the problem? Look ahead. Try to see the long-term consequences of your decision. Turn big decisions into a series of little decisions. When a big undertaking seems like it could be too much to tackle at once, take small steps. Get more information, reconsider, and then make the next decision. So do not feel you are locked into only one or two alternatives. There are always more options if you look for them. So go look for them. get what you need to feel safe. For some people, that means knowing the worst that can happen. For others, it means knowing they can back out at the last minute. For still others, it means knowing that everyone they care about agrees with the decision or fully understand the situation that they are in. So identify your safety needs related to the decision at hand. So now we have decision-making traps. First, misdirection. When we go on fishing expeditions that is trying to get information without revealing its purpose, we may very well get in the right answer to the wrong question. So if we ask the experts and they do not know, they may still not admit it. Then we can become a victim of a snow job or find out that the blind is leading the blind. So these are one of the traps, decision-making traps. So another one is sampling. There is also a danger of making a decision based on sampling that is too small. So let's, for instance, you may ask 3 people about when they want a Christmas party to be held and get every one of them to agree that on the same day. So, but it will be dangerous to go ahead with that date based on such a small sampling. So if it is not adequate and representative, perhaps that is perhaps maybe the party you tend to attend is a night that you have a dignity that also, and many of your employees or members of your team are expected to be there. So it is better to work with a higher sampling than that minimal. So now the next is bias. So we are all guilty of some bias at one point or the other. So every moment you have lived in everything, we have ever experienced such in a contributing way on biases. So now bias is another trap. Another one is average. Then next is selectivity. So when we talk about selectivity, is another danger signal when we throw out unfavorable results and embrace unacceptable ones. So the results are ambiguous, to say the least. So we have to demand all the facts, not just those that have been swept under the rug. So another one is interpretation. So you need to actually give a clear interpretation of the situation on ground. So jumping to conclusion. So this is a trap you set for yourself, and nobody has to spring it for you. So make sure that you are using the skills. You have to consider things thoroughly instead of heading for an easy answer. So there is also a connotation. So this one is a natural to draw out all the meaning in a remark. So we also have the one statutes. So when we talk of this statute, this can limit communication in ways we never intend. So this is also a barrier between maybe a superior and the employee. So the employee, the superior might feel that you have a question to ask to solve a problem, but because you are superior, you feel like going to someone superior than to ask for a solution. It looks somehow. So it's also a trap. So now we enter into the problem-solving model. So we using a model, so we are going to help people solve problems in an effective way. So for at least getting in here with us. Now, we have what, though before here, we're supposed to have a pre-assignment review. So, but because of our time, we are skipping. So we are looking at a problem-solving model. So now, whenever you read a book, maybe on a problem solving, so this model is in some form or the other. So it's sure to be there. So then there are 3 models overview we're going to look at. So now, as you work your way from problem to solution, you are actually shifting your focus. First, when you define a problem, you ask yourself, what is my problem? As you try to analyze the root cause, you ask again, why is it a problem? So when you are generating options of why is it a problem, you ask yourself, what are some ways I can solve these problems? So this now leads us to the problem-solving model. We have the phase 1 here, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is the problem identification. Phase 2 is decision-making. While phase 3 is now planning and the organizing. So we also have maybe another perspective So we have a perception, you have definition, analysis, you analyze. So we also have the go and no go. Then you go for the alternative generation. So we recommend that you spend most of your time on the first block, perception, definition, and analysis. So as we have mentioned already, so keep an open mind while trying to make him. So now solving problems the right way. I want you to do this. Do not let people try to convince you that there is one right or best way to solve problems or to go solve a particular problem. Problem solving is all about applying educated trial and error. So with so many different kinds of problems to deal with, there is no system that works in every situation. Many solutions are possible and some are better than others. So here we're supposed to have another case study. So, but we are going to jump that. Now let's look at stage one of the problem solving we have mentioned. So the phase one, what you need to know about perception. You ask yourself, is there a problem? Where is the problem? Whose problem is it? So this is the sniffing, groping, grasping stage. So it includes whatever you need to do to get a handle on the problem. So the purpose of a perception phase is to surface an issue, to make it okay to discuss, that is, legitimize it, to air different points of view, to avoid perception wars, to get group agreement to work on the problem. So there are steps that you need to take in this phase. That is legitimizing the problem, make it okay to discuss. Ask, how does the problem feel and what is the real problem? Identifying the best, worst, and most probable situation, and also identifying whose problem it is. So now, in defining the problem, here we state the problem as a question. Our goal is to grasp the general idea of the problem and then draw the rope tighter to get a more specific idea of the problem. So there are steps in this phase, which includes what is the problem? So what is not the problem? Then you go into the analysis phase. So now that we have a general idea of problem, you have the general of the problem. So you need to use what we call the analytical tool to define it even further. So there are steps in this phase that can include the following. Ask basic questions such as who, what, where, when, why, and how. So you break it down into smaller pieces. So the diagram here is showing the use force field analysis. So this is a structured method of looking at two opposing forces acting on a situation. So simply draw a line on a piece of paper. On one half on the line, list the forces that are working to solve the problem. On the other half, list the forces that are stopping you from solving the problem. So this is what this diagram is all about. So look at what I've just explained and draw what is the resisting force and what is assisting the forces in solving your problem. Then in phase two, until the 3 steps of problem education have been covered. So you do not need to proceed to phase 2 if you have not been able to complete the basic 3 tools. So you should not enter into phase 2. But when that is done, you can now enter into phase 2. Now, here are some tools you can actually use to come with ideas. So first, this is under creative method thinking. Please, next slide, creative thinking method. So we have a checkboard. The first one there is the brainstorming pattern. So you draw a circle in the middle of a page and write down your problem. Then draw lines from the circle and write down some solutions. So you do not have to worry if your solutions seems wacky or seems impossible or even seem silly. So, this is a creative thinking time. It's not a critical thinking, but capturing the range of ideas is what is important here. So we also have another a method of creative thinking, that is the checkboard. So this is a more organized form of brainstorming and can be particularly helpful for people who do not like chaotic brainstorming section. So now you can make use of this. So we may not have time to look at all this. So then the next is research and reports. So look at what others have done before. So you need to do some research and prepare a report. So, and then put the lessons you can learn from this information you have gathered. Then you go to evaluation. So now that you have some solutions in mind, it is time to evaluate the solution to see which one are feasible. Sort solutions by category. This can be similar to checkboard above, just with some critical thinking applied. So identify the advantages and advantages of each of these solutions you have identified. Then identify what you like about each idea and what you do not like. There is tendency that there is something you will like about the idea you have brought and something you do not like. So number your ideas in order, from the one that seems the most feasible to the one that seems the least feasible. So this is useful for smaller problems. So now, decision making. Once you have evaluated the option, so it is time to make a decision. So here are some ways you can go about it. So get a consensus from the group on the best solution. That is if you are working with a team. So do not limit yourself to one option. You may find that you can combine solution for super success. So this, we call it both and the both and method. So to make voting easier, you may want to eliminate the solutions that the group as a whole absolutely will not consider. So try to focus on agreements during all voting. Use straw voting. Take a quick, non-binding yes or no vote on the current solution as proposed. So try negative voting also. Rather than asking who is for a solution, ask who is against the proposed solution. Then back off. The group may need some time to evaluate the option before making a decision. So that is if they need be, so you back off. Then you can now enter for phase 3. Our last phase, phase 3 is planning. For planning portions, start by breaking the task down into smaller portions. Then for each mini task, plan the following information: what needs to be done, who will do it, what resources we need, how much time will it take. That is setting a deadline. So once all the smaller tasks are planned out, you will have an idea of how long the main solution will take to implement. So you may also want to make sure that the above questions are answered for the main task. So you go to implementation. Implementation is a cycle of 3 activities: figuring out what you are going to do, then doing it. Because when you figure it and you are not implementing, so doing it is one of the activities. Now, reacting to what happened or getting feedback sooner or later. So you have to try out your solution. React to what happens as you are doing it. So get feedback from the teammates. Then for the my individual learning plan, there is also another study case which we could have used. So in order to effectively solve problems and make decisions, so it's important to practice your skills. So now, let's just look briefly on this study case. So let's look at, just listen very well to the case study I want to present that. So when Mike, just an example, drove the company truck last week. So he thought he had an unusual sound, but the radio was loud enough to drown it out. So he did not think about it again. So the next day, Alan used the truck, but the radio was really loud from the time he started the truck. So he did not notice anything. So yesterday, Dev signed out the truck. Dev does not like the radio station that was playing, so he turned it off. So he could hear something rattling underneath the truck. So when he finished his errands, so he told the fleet supervisor, Bruce, there was a sound coming from underneath the truck. So Bruce now asked him, what did the sound look like? So a rattling sound underneath somewhere. So that's what Dave replied. So gathering a double tray of hot coffee for his friends. So that's so now I want you to tell me anything else. Now, Bruce took the truck out without the manager knowing. After telling manager that this truck has an issue, he now went out with it for errand. So then on the manager coming out to maybe go underneath the truck to find out what could have caused those noise initially reported. So he found out that the truck is no longer there. And he went back to the office and he couldn't find Dev that reported initially. So now he was like, where is Dev? He called. So Dev told him that he actually went out to get some lunch for the staffs. So, but on his way, they had an accident. So now, I want to ask, what is the problem? What is the root cause of the rape or the rape? What is the root cause or the rape problem? Is it because the truck was not in order before he took it out that caused the accident, or the accident just happened, or because Dev neglected what would have come? So what is the problem as understood by you? So this is something you need to do on your own. So now let's look at section 6. So when you have the my individual ILP, you can work on that. So we have a problem-solving toolkit. Now, there are basic tools and techniques we can use to help ourselves in every stage of problem solving. The first is the lasso. So here we can tighten up our definition of the problem. So now, how can we improve communication in our group? What do we mean by communication? How can we get our work done and more efficiently? So what do we mean by efficiency? Now, we also have another basic tool, is or is not. So this is or is not technique lets us eliminate assumptions and emphasize facts. So for example, someone says the telephone system is not working. So you might ask them to list what is not working and list what is working. Perhaps all functions are affected, or perhaps only incoming calls have been affected. So you can also use another basic tool, the graphics. A diagram allows us to see things visually. So for example, think of personality types, so which can be depicted visually as well as verbally. So for some, a graph is more beneficial than a score or a label. So for others, one type of categorizing is better than other types of categorizing. So you look at this. So there are basic questions you need to ask yourself: who, what, where, when, why, and how. And now follow this criteria. So there are some criteria you need to follow when you ask this question. So in many situations, it can be very helpful to predetermine what the criteria will be for your best solution. So let's say that you and your spouse are going out to celebrate your anniversary. So now you say, where are you going to for this anniversary? Well, rather, instead of asking that, you say, where do you want to go? And I do not care. I don't know if you understand me. So let's say you want to ask yourself, you want to go out and celebrate your anniversary. You now say, where are you going to go? But rather, prefer saying, where do you want to go? And I do not care. So it is up to you. So how about developing criteria ahead of time? So now we can go into force field analysis, what we call force field analysis. Force field analysis examines restraining forces. That is forces that discourage problems versus the ones that sustain problems. So now I would have loved to give some examples here, but okay, let me just say, okay, now let's take this example. John arrived late for work. So what are the restraining forces? So these are part of the things you see on the My Analytical. So the boss is angry. John is behind his work. Parking spots all gone. So now you need to legitimize problems and positions them. So first of all, legitimize the problem and position them where they belong. Everyone sees things differently, especially problems. So let's, for instance, I ask if you have ever stopped children from fighting and ask what the problem was. So you would usually get a Discord cross of response as to why they were fighting, and each would see the fight from their own perspective. So this expression of how personal view, no matter how discordant it might be, needs to be legitimized. So to do this, we can use this communication funnel. So this is a kind of a tool you can use in legitimate. So use this communication funnel. Here you have encourage and criticize, acknowledge feelings and ideas, then questions and information. So this is what we call the communication funnel. So then the next two is the fish bone. So the called the Ishikawa's diagram. So after the Japanese, the Ishikawa's diagram. So this kind of tool is mostly used in big organizations. So where individuals will be asked what the secondary problem is. So when all of them must have listed the problems, you will find out what actually is a problem, because everybody might have a different perception of what the problem is. But when they put it in this fixture tool, you will be able to find out the root cause of the problem. So now you go for degrees of support. So now, if participants can apply the degrees of support instead of having to select yes or no, they may feel some relief that are not you are not taking sides. So the degree of support may help them articulate exactly how they feel about a decision. So no need for black and white thinking. So using this degree of support, it will help a group realize that consensus does not mean that everyone agrees to the same degree. So let's look at the diagram below. Degree of support. So here is an example of what degree of support. So some people will fully agree, some will completely disagree and do not even want to support the decision I have made. Some will partly agree, but we need more work before they can support. Some will not even agree, and but they will not stop things from happening. Then mostly agree. So these people, they will just agree and support the decision. So now the creative thinking method has to do with brainstorming. So about brainstorming, so these are the things about brainstorming. People are encouraged to say what comes to their mind. So all the ideas generated are recovered. People are encouraged to say whatever they are thinking. So there is no one right way to turn a brainstorming section. So you just leave it open. So during brainstorming, these are the things you need to consider. So you see the participants side by side, facing a split chart and all the rest of them. So make sure you record the ideas in full view. So then after brainstorming, relax the no criticism rule in order to bring the most promising ideas to surface. So you are still not at the stage of deciding, note this. So you are merely nominating ideas, what's developing further. So circle the ideas and that of the members and what they think. Take one promising idea and invent ways to make it better and more realistic, as well as ways to carry it out. So the task at this stage is to make the ideas as attractive as you can. So prefer a constructive criticism with what I like best about that idea, something like that, or might it be better if putting it this way. Don't impose it. Just use the word, something like what I like best about the ideas. One of these person can make the John circulated is this, or might it be better if we should have done it this way instead of this way you have put it. So before you break up, draw up a selective and improved list of ideas from the section, and then set up a time for deciding which of these ideas can take further and how. So now there are also some limitations for brainstorming. So some people limit or filter what they can say, and the sessions and sometimes benefit from the extrovert more than the introvert. So their verbal tradition can impede progress. Social nature of tools can also be a barrier. So now, this limitation, however, can be overcome in some certain ways by the word brainwriting. So for this brainwriting, there is a case study here that we should have used, but because of time, we will not be able to do that. So now the case study is under mind mapping. The topic is adopting a puppy. So this is the first step to take. The first step to take in decision making: create a list. You have chosen the topic. Now you need to create a list. Just for example, here you say adoption. Is the adoption for community oriented, require warrant for good health? Must it be neutered or spayed? Can it be male or female? Things like this will come up. So now when you must have done this, creating the list, you need to enter the step 2. You create the diagram. The inside the diagram, the first cycle there will be the topic. So why by the side of it, you have the ideas generated, put them together and circle them. So then you can now go to step 3, while here you link and categorize them. So those things you have written, adopting a puppy as the mind mapping tool. So then look at the advantages you are going to get and also the disadvantages. So under the advantages, what are those advantages? So when you compare them, which one is the most appealing? So and when you find out that maybe disadvantage is will haunt you, so I think it might be a time to rethink. So in that, for section 4, step 4, you need to take finalize and review. So look at the final product, evaluate and review as needed. The problem solving toolkit, section 7, please. So here we have a brainstorming and brainwriting. So there are methods to reach out, because of this is also a kind of a case study. So, but we will not be able to focus on this now. We'll not be able to focus on because of our time. So let's quickly look at the methods. So we have a random word method. Do not reinvent the way. Do something different. Then the aspirinia. That is another section. So once again, they say practice makes perfect when learning new skills. So in this section, you will walk through a case study that will help you internalize and apply the concepts learning so far. So the case study here, we are going to skip it. So, but let's look at because of time. Sorting up, solving business problems can be a bit different than a everyday dilemma. So in this session, you will learn how to use SWOT. SWOT itself is an acronym of strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So these analyses are can be used in your so solving business problems problem can be a bit different from solving
Is it my network or his
so one
network?
suitable problem solvers of your team attempt to identify to the future. So SWOT stands for strength with
Hello, Mr. Roy. Can anybody still hear him?
I can't hear him. Oh.
Okay, I think
okay. Can I be heard now?
okay, yeah, you're back.
It's
Go
better,
ahead.
sir.
Okay. Okay, better off now, but so I can move on. Let me quickly, please. Okay, let's on that SWOT analysis, section 9, SWOTing up. So let me just repeat what I just said. Hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Okay, so I said that SWOT on its own stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats that might be facing your team, your company, your organization. So the strengths and weakness here, we consider it as an internal problem. Then while the opportunities and threats are generally the external. So this analysis helps you to ask yourself, where are you now? This is really your situation analysis or inventory, and it gives you the opportunity to take stock of the overall situation right before planning any further changes. So the diagram below is a diagram of a SWOT analysis. So the first under the strengths, these are the positive aspect. The weakness is under the negative aspect. The threat is under the negative aspect, while the opportunity is under the positive aspect. So you list them this way. So now we have a SWOT analysis which one should consider. So your company and its strength and its weakness, consider this. Your products and services and their strengths and weakness, consider this. This is a checklist. So and so on and so forth. So environment and market pressure that could threaten you. So depending on what you are working on. So this is just an example of what it should be. So now for this is for individual analysis. So a complete SWOT analysis for your own on your teams. So you can use this for your individual analysis. That is this. Okay. Now making group decisions. In business organizations, decision-making often involve more than one person. So as we know this, so in this section, you will learn about some things that are essential for team problem solving. So other decision-making tools are also explored here. So now working towards the decision. So we have, please, next slide. So working towards the decision. So in a routine decision, the conditions of this the situation which the solution has to satisfy are known. So the job is simply to choose between a few obvious alternatives. So the routine decision is often governed by which alternative we can accomplish. So the next is the strategic decision. So you can use the three-phase model that we covered earlier for both types of decision. So here, this is a previous three-phase model. We use the phase 1, problem identification, phase 2, decision making, and the planning and organization as phase 3. Then decision frames, you map out your decision frames. So there are many formats anyway for decision frames and lots of them. So, but here we have this graphic representation of a decision. So that's the group is making. So this is just maybe you're trying to have a smartphone or a tablet, make the decision frame. So this will help you to achieve the best. So now we look at what we call the Splendor technique. So this is a useful technique that encourages individual participation within a group. So this technique encourages people to contribute on an individual level before they can be influenced by anyone else. So the individuals are this encourage the contribution for individuals to put down before another opinion for another person can be used to influence it. So this method will encourage a wide variety of ideas and stop anyone from withdrawing or hiding within a large group. So because it will make everybody is expected to speak, nobody is to hide. So it also avoid having some personalities overpower others, because with this technique, all members of the group are equal. So people will not want to engage in this method. So if one person has an agenda and pushes it to others, this technique is very effective for smaller groups. So 4 to 7 members is encouraged. So there are 5 steps for this technique. Group members are presented with problem. 2 members of the group are assigned. A third member is added to the group. Then the process is repeated by adding 1 member. Once presentation and discussion are finished, the group makes their final decision always. So now we also have the one we call the DeFi technique. This technique is very useful when you have people who are considered experts on a topic and where you are looking for information to help with a forecasting or resource allocation. So this technique works by using cycles of anonymous individual writing, discussion, and arguments, and is coordinated by a facilitator. So anonymity and the remoteness of the process issues are the group thinking. So it also gives people the opportunity to think things through on their own time, to consider other arguments adequately. Then the next is a nominal group technique. So when a group meets, it can sometimes be difficult to get hard above the rallying of people who are loud or have more status in the organization. So this one, in order to work with the colleagues, so you need to have a nominal group technique practiced. So now, avoiding fatal mistake. If you have ever been a part of a group where people hesitate to speak up, so or you led a team or a meeting where people would not speak up, you may have been experiencing group think. What are they thinking? So the group think, of course, when the goal of consensus overrides people's responsibility to speak up. So it can occur at the end of a workshop, maybe some things like that. So another one is fighting the status quo. Sometimes, despite all our best problem solving and decision making, we run into a brick wall. Although we know change is good and is inevitable, and that's we have some terrific ideas that will solve our trouble and generate some. So if you are fighting the status quo in getting decision implemented, you need to phrase your case in a way that presents the benefits of the change to the people or to your team who must implement it. You need their cooperation. Time is a precious commodity. So it is often not that people fear change as much as they fear the commitment that comes with it. So change must be worthwhile if people are going to come on board. So make it worth their while. Change should not be implemented just for the sake of changing. So it must somehow have a positive effect. So there are still other decision-making tools, so which we might not be able to run into. So we have the new appeal and feasibility NAV technique, visualization benefits. So if you're able to get the full package, you can get to know more about other decision-making tools. So for here, section 11, analyzing and selecting solutions. So once solutions to your problem have been generated, so they must be evaluated, and then the best ones, you implement them. So in this section, we are going to look at the second phase of problem-solving model, making a decision. 1, selecting criteria. So you need to do what? Decide on what on your wants and needs, the cost benefits. Then there is a case study that is also available on the myself individual learning plan. So we are not going to take that now because of our time. So we are going to look at planning and organizing. planning and organizing. So after identifying a problem, a course of action must be planned and organized. So depending on the size of decision you have made, this task may take minutes or might require a full project team to make sure everything is in place. Other things. So after the problem has been identified and the solution has been chosen, so it is time to plan and organize your course of action and place. So depending on the size of this, so like I just said, so once you develop your plan, assemble the people and supports necessary and get the thing started. Adapt, close, and celebrate. Sorry, before that. Your screen. Let me, okay, introduction. Okay. Please, next slide. So, after you must have assembled all the necessary and the people required to do this, you need to do what we call follow-up, do follow-up analysis. So for this follow-up analysis, we also have some individual learning plan for this. So you will not be able to understand if you have, when you have the full package, you can look at this. So you evaluate, after follow-up, you evaluate, then adapt, close, and celebrate. So sometimes we must have to adapt or evolve in some way to continue along the desired path. So part of the reasons that careful follow-up should be done. So to check the need to alter the course. So sometimes we must adapt or evolve in some way to continue along the desired path. So if during your evaluation you find anything that needs adapting, get back into the problem-solving process and make changes. So you might find the failure of a well-executed plan problem. So remind yourself that you have now identified a new problem that you are working with. So then re-implement and prepare for success. So once the changes are finished and your evaluation is complete, make sure you close this project with all the people involved and celebrate your success. Change may not be easy and you may have had some struggles, but you are finished for now. So thank you. Pam Samson, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roy, for this wonderful presentation. Actually,
please, sorry.
it's yes.
Sorry, please. I have to apologize to the audience that I had to rush because of the time frame we had. So it's almost time. So that's why I have to rush. So let's have over.
All right. Thank you once again. Yes, actually, it's a very robust presentation, but you have done your best to present what we have within the time limit that we have. So at this point, we are going to, first of all, share the attendance list, the link, so that we can have your email and forward to you subsequent materials that will follow this webinar. And then we are open to just, I want to share with us a special offer that we have. So like, if you remember at the beginning of the presentation, we told us that this workshop is designed to last for 2 days. So certainly we will not be able to do adequate justice to such content within 1.5 hours. And so we are making a special offer. This is what we usually do. for those who have found time to join us in this free session, they can pay a very low amount to get the full content. This course, when we organize it for the full length that it will take, when we organize it as an online training workshop, it's going to last for about 8 hours, divided into different days, up to 2 or 3 days. And it usually will be on a weekend. Let's say today, for instance, we take some time, beyond 2 hours, of course, because we would engage ourselves in the reflections and exercises, the case studies, so that we can have a very firm grasp of what the content is all about. And then we do that for maybe 2 weekends. So that's the full-fledged. However, and then for that full-fledged, in Nigerian currency, it's going to be between 10 to 15,000 naira, while in USD is about 30 USD. However, to get the full course material for those who are attending this, you are going to get this special offer at 3,500 naira in Nigerian currency, and then in USD you pay $10. This will give you access to the full content of the self-study guide. I think it's very voluminous and it's very detailed. What we have in our PowerPoint presentation, they are just the summary of what the self-study guide is. If we have over 90 slides in the presentation, you can imagine how robust the self-study guide is. We also include the quick reference guides, student manual, and of course, my individual learning plan, which helps you to internalize what you have learned from the course. And then you are going to complete some various self-reflection exercises and case studies that will give you a very good command of the content. So this is the special offer that we are making. We did this in the last one, and so many people subscribed to that for the goal setting. Goal setting is another very wonderful workshop that we did. And soon we are going to put them up for in our learning management system, where you can log in, and then we are going to have group discussions for that course. But like I said, the course is going to be different from what we are offering right now. So that is the offer. And at this point, we would like to open up for questions, for comments, and discussion while we fill the attendance sheet. So, Mr. Roy, please, can you share the link to the attendance so that we can have everyone's detail? We can also follow up after this. So thanks, everyone, as we anticipate your questions and comments. You can decide to speak or send your questions or comments in the chat box, and then we can attend to them. Mr. Roy.
Hello, sir. Sorry.
Yes, the attendance link.
I've shared it.
Okay, you have. All right. So please, let's go ahead and attempt the fill the attendance sheet so that we can have your details as a follow-up. And if there are no questions, then I guess we'll just bring the meeting to a close. After we have signed the attendance, we need your details to be able to communicate to you subsequently after this, and also announce our next coming webinar. And we have a good number of courses. So we will be sharing that via email to let you know which course is up next for presentation, and then the dates and the time for them each. So thanks everybody. Yeah, thank you all for the recommendations. We appreciate the feedback, and we'll keep doing what we are doing and better.
Thank you, everyone. Remain blessed.
Thank you. Please ensure you fill the attendance, please, before leaving. Thank you.
Okay.